pretty sure you all would have had some kind of reservation about accepting these parts. All of these are real characters. Only Marion Price is still alive. Can you just talk about your thoughts on first being offered the roles?
Yeah, well, Lola and I were really nervous because we're from there, and we sort of try to live there when we're not filming as much as possible. And we were feeling quite confident about it. And then the day before it came out, I think we both wanted to move to Antarctica because we were just so wrecked with nerves that it was going to go down badly in Belfast. But luckily, when it came out, the people in Ireland and in Belfast really responded well to it. So we could move back and not get kneecapped or shot in the head, which is a great thing.
And you two?
Yeah, I mean, I say this in every interview, but I actually didn't read the end of Say Nothing before I'd accepted the role, which is not great. And it was, a big shock to me when I found out what the ending was going to be. And I think the one thing that I had to keep in my mind throughout the whole filming process is that as an actor, your one and only job is to abstain from moral judgment of your character and to just play it as it is on the page. And we had such brilliant writing to work with. We had a team full of incredible writers, some of them Irish. Kirsten Sheridan was on the team, Josh Sedemar was leading the team, and it was just such brilliant material and such a rarity for Americans to write such great Irish film and TV. Do you know what I mean? Like, because It's such a specific thing. Like, Irish people are really unique and really special, and especially the people in the north, and the culture and the humour is just so niche. So we're really proud of this.
With good reason. What about you, Maxine?
I think, obviously for different reasons. I don't think I felt, when the part came in, at first I was like, why me?
Well, did you have any reservations about taking the role, given that you are playing a controversial real-life character?
Yeah, but I've played a few controversial characters in my time. And, as an actor, they are the parts that you want to get your teeth into. But I think my main anxiety was being British, not being Irish, and I didn't want the fact that I was playing older Dolus to be a distraction. I thought, it's a tough accent to get, and it's not just about accent, it's about culture, it's about history, so that made me, that was, if I had a reservation, that was, but then your ego takes over. You think, am I the right person for this part? And then your ego goes, well, maybe not, but,
What were the most difficult scenes for you to film? Some of them are very difficult to watch, and I can only imagine some of the places you had to go to mentally, not just in this episode, but in further ones. And by the way, Anthony, I'm very proud of your running in this episode. Tom Cruise would be very proud.
People have said the Belfast Tom Cruise.
Yes.
I'm not going to jump on the sofa. I'm not going to do one of those moments. And I
did you watch a lot of Mission Impossible?
I watched all of them on repeat, all 19 of them. The running was pretty good. It's so strange because you've got to move your arms as quick as you can, but not run as fast as like two men holding a camera. So it is a skill. So thank you for noting that. That was my hardest task in this, I think, because I'm from there, and the character wasn't a huge leap for me. Like, I used to walk past a mural of him going to school, and I still drink in the same bars as him. I know people who know him. It didn't feel like it was, I was going, who is this guy? I didn't feel it was a huge leap for me. I just put on a fake mustache, smoked a cigarette, and chilled out with Lola, which is what I do most days with a fake mustache. So it was all right, yeah.
But what were the most difficult scenes for you in the series? I mean, three of you are, brandishing guns at length. I don't know if weapons training was involved there, presumably so.
Yeah, but it didn't feel, I never really feel like any scene's that difficult. Like, it's make-believe. And I never feel like you've got to put yourself in that position, obviously, and you've got to really go for it. But it never feels like, we're not down the mines. We're not actually at war. We're getting lattes brought to you, so it's not like, at the end of the day, It's not that sort of trying and difficult. It's like, okay, for those moments, you're in it, and you have to believe it as much as you can. But at the end of the day, you're getting a driver's bringing you home, and you've got a lovely bed to sleep in, so it's not that difficult.
Yeah. What about you, ladies?
I, on the opposite end, found it quite challenging. There was a lot of really tough material, and I think, I had a lot of reservations about taking it. I just wanted to make sure that, I'm from that community and I love it so much, and I just wanted to feel like my people were really represented and that they saw themselves reflected in their history. And there was a lot of challenge and tough material, particularly episode 6, the hunger strike episode.
Yes, I imagine that was your toughest.
Yeah.
It was very, very hard to watch.
Yeah, we shot that in a real prison, and that environment was really oppressive, and all of the physical work with the force feeding. And I think I just wanted to make sure that particular episode, because you call it what you want, but what those 2 women went through was torture. And I just wanted to make sure that we got it right. It just felt really important to me. But luckily, we had like the most amazing crew in the world who really became like our cheerleaders every day, made it the most reverent, caring set, and really rallied around us. And we were such a tight unit for those 3 weeks that we shot that. And really, like the entire 8 months of the shoot, I was waking up in sweats, cold panic about this coming out, and the year after, and said to Anto that maybe I was going to go to Donegal for 10 weeks and live in a cottage and hide out until it all blew over. But luckily, we did a screening at home for our family and friends and for a lot of the community in West Belfast. And it was probably the biggest privilege, not just of my career, but of my life, to be in that room with those people watching themselves be reflected, and to sit in the bar with them after and hear their stories, and a lot of people opening up about things for the first time. And it just felt so special, and it felt so special to do it with Anto. We've known each other since we were 11. We've been best friends a really long time, and I'm just not sure I'll ever get to do something like this again. So, yeah.
Well, I hope we do. Get this.
Yeah. We just played husband and wife, so we probably will.
We literally played husband and wife. We
will.
wrapped a month ago. I hope we get to do it again.
They actually made a short film as teenagers directed by Michael Lennox, who directs many.
Which we're going to play for you right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I played a
Lola
drug
told
dealer.
me it wasn't that great.
It's awful. I played a drug dealer on a bike, and it was called Rough Deal. And Lola played my little sister. Mm-hmm. It was awful. It was truly awful.
Terrible.
But Mike Lennox, who directed the first 2 episodes of this and the last episode, directed it. So thankfully, he brought us back for this.
Mm-hmm. And he's got better.
Yes, he's got better, and hopefully we have too.
Now, Patrick Radden Keefe's book, Say Nothing, A True Story of Murder and Memory in Northern Ireland, is, of course, the source material for this. And the scripts are phenomenally written, as you well know. And this is a Hollywood production. And you told me previously, Lola, that gave you pause until you went and read the book and couldn't believe it actually wasn't written by someone from West Belfast.
Yeah, I mean, when I got an email saying that Disney was doing the story of the Price sisters, I was like, womp womp. Uh-oh. I was like, the Americans are coming to solve the troubles. Great. And then I read the book. I read it over 3 days in a coffee shop and sobbed my eyes out. And I read the first 2 episodes of the scripts, and I could not believe that they weren't written by somebody from West Belfast. They just got this spirit of the people of home so well, and the sense of humour. And then I had my first meeting with Josh and Patrick, and you could tell immediately that there was so much care there, that they just really wanted to get it right, and they were as invested as we were going to be, and they were really open. I think the first conversation I had with them, I was like, on page 2, it says Chipper, and it should say Chippy, and you really need somebody else in the room to tell you these things, blah, 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 and that's why you need me. And they were like, okay. But it was just evident straight away that they were going to care as much as I cared. And then I knew I was in safe hands, and the reservations went until we started filming. And then I woke up in cold sweats again.
Yeah. Did any of the rest of you have any reservations about it being a Hollywood production?
Yeah, it's the same reason. Lola and I, when we were talking about doing it, were in constant cahoots and conversations about it. And then we were thinking, well, if it's not going to be us, who will it be? You know, I think Tom Cruise was busy. So if it's not, you know, and then we were going, who will it be and who will do this? And I've seen so many. We all have so many bad Irish accents and that kind of thing. And we think we maybe owe it to our community for us to do it.
So no pressure, Maxine, on the accent.
No pressure. Well, Maxine smashed it. Maxine's accent was amazing.
It certainly is amazing. Yeah.
Well, that's thanks to Jude McSpadden, the dialect coach. She really had her work cut out, and Lola very generously recorded a lot of stuff early on so I could listen to it. But yeah.
Had you played Irish previously?
Only Southern Irish. Badly. General Southern Irish for many years before, you know. Sorry, I apologise, Hazel. Yeah, massacred you. But I know what it's like being, you know, from the north of England, being from the northwest of England, and people do a generic northern, and you're like, well, sorry, where is that? Where is that from? You know, and people play an accent rather than a character sometimes, don't they? So, but yeah. I'm glad people, you know, I've had some criticisms, but you're always well.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
We thought it was great.
So Lola, you've mentioned previously what an absolute gift Hazel was to you, and vice versa, presumably. You did not have a chemistry test, but you bonded like siblings off screen immediately. Can you each talk about the importance of your working relationship and now lovely friendship?
I mean, I was so like we didn't chemistry read, and so in the weeks coming up to it, I was home going, "What if I hate Maureen? Like we've just shoot together for 8 months. Like that's just gonna fucking suck." And then like a week before Hazel and I met, and it was pretty immediate, that sibling bond, and it was so special. Not only because it really like bled into our work and made it so much easier. I mean, the first person that Dolores looks for when she goes into a room is Marion. They're completely symbiotic, and quite naturally the first person that I was looking for when I was walking onto set or doing a scene was Hazel, and so that made my job much easier. But also just because we were shooting for a long time and a lot of the material was tough, so being able to just go back to our apartment and watch Gilmore Girls and eat dumplings and hug each other was a saving grace. And just getting to watch Hazel's process, she's an incredibly detailed actor, and getting to watch the way that she prepared this like 9-episode arc, and when she showed her cards and when she didn't, and how she was able to spin all those plates was just, you know, as like an actor, it was incredible to watch. So yeah, thankful every day for Hazel Doupe.
Nothing good to say about you. Only joking. I love Lola so much, and I just like, I've said it till I'm like blue in the face saying it. Like, I can't express what an absolute like awe-inspiring experience it is to watch Lola on set. Like, it's just magical. That like I vividly remember during episode 6. Something happens in episode, I don't know if everyone's seen the whole thing, but something happens in episode 6 and Lola's sitting on a bed above me, bawling their eyes out, like bawling them out, pleading with me, like begging me, and I'm supposed to be like falling asleep, but I keep trying to open my eyes to see this performance because I can feel the just the vitality in their whole body, and just like how I just don't know how you did it every single day. You were just like truly like, and to be from there and to be experiencing everything that you know, people not too far before you were experiencing, and to just hold that with such strength and courage and resilience was like beyond anything I think I'll ever see on set again. And then on top of that, top class person through and through. Like, I've found a forever friend and sibling in you, and I just, it was amazing.
Lola, you had also told me that you just don't imagine you'll ever have a job this special. Do all of you feel that way?
It felt very special because it was so close to home. And to do it with Lola, who, you know, I've known since I was 11, and to play these roles felt really, really unique and very special.
How did your close friendship inform your scenes here?
Well, good. I mean, there's just a scene where I turn around and call her a cheeky wee bitch, and that was just me improving, you know, just because they looked at me in a different way. I was like, "Fuck up, you cheeky wee bitch," and then they were keeping that in any sort of moments where they liked felt more like kind of our relationship, Lola and I's relationship was sort of bleeding into it a little bit. So yeah, it was really good to do it with Lola.
I think the casting of you, Maxine, and you as the same character is also phenomenal. You know, I mean, I never doubted for a second that you were the same person. And while, of course, you don't have scenes together, I understand you were sometimes on set with each other. What was that like?
Our paths crossed, didn't, you know, and like the first time you were filming it when you were doing the prison scenes.
Yeah.
Lola, they were doing the prison scenes and I was having a wig fitting. That ended up not being a wig, even though it looks like it's not a wig. Spent all day in a big debate. Is it a wig? Am I wearing a wig? Am I not wearing a wig? So that was my first day of introduction. But we didn't, you know, Lola and everyone was right in the midst of it by the time I sort of came on board. You know, I'd sort of been cast. I mean, I didn't start shooting till August. You'd done so much up to that point. So unfortunately, we didn't get that much time, you know, and I said this afternoon and I said I just felt bereft because, you know, seeing the dynamic with everybody. And I am in the same show, but in many ways I feel you weren't in the same show. If you know what I don't mean in... Because you'd done your stuff and then the oldies turned up and we did our little bit, you know, but we were all towards the end, you know, you'd done months and months of it and then we just sort of popped up and went and did a little bit of, you know, this and a little bit of that and then went off.
But presumably it's been lovely getting to know each other better on the promotional trail.
Yeah, well, this is great, you know, and I'm in awe of these three. I find it, you know what I mean? And you always are with young, you know, I'm passionate about young talent and you just know how exciting and brilliant and how huge all three of them are going to be, and please do remember me, won't you? But you know, it's always really exciting and to watch.
Yeah,
you know, to watch, you know, and great people, you know, just great people.
I've been watching Maxine since I was a kid, and I remember sitting in drama school with my friend Rihanna in our third year house talking about actors that we wanted to be like, and we were talking about Maxine Peake, and then they told me that she was going to be playing the older version of me and I nearly fainted.
Oh,
you know,
so fantastic.
I was just enamored, like I was like, what is my life?
Oh, that's wonderful. So you two in particular have a very transformative arc across the series. I mean, Lola told me you were only 21 when you shot this, which I find amazing. Yeah. So we've seen you as slightly green nuns holding up a bank in this episode. And yes, I don't know if you've all seen the series, but if you haven't seen all of it, you will be stunned by their transformations. And I'm just wondering, you know, having this incredible support between the two of you, did that help? Because that's a lot of material to cover in 9 episodes and a big change for you both.
Yeah. I think like getting to be around Lola every single day and getting to see how and it's a weird thing to talk about it because Lola is like first and foremost my friend, but like getting to just observe the way they moved and the kind of, I don't know, the humour and the joy and the laughter and the generations and generations of like built-in strength and like deep, rich culture that was in Lola and in every single person in the north of Ireland, that really informed my performance and really informed the arc. And it was so interesting that like so much of the kind of prep that you do can only start when you're on set, when you've met people that you're starting to work with. So yeah, obviously, like Lola said, the bond was pretty instant. And I remember we took a photo on the first day of set, and it was like our second time seeing each other, and I took a photo of us, and we were like chums, we were like this. I sent it off to my mom, and she was like, I believe it, you're sisters. But yeah, it was a big arc to cover. and I could totally see once I had met everybody who we were doing this with, I could feel how to move within that. It's kind of like, it feels kind of animalistic almost. You're kind of embodying an animal in a way, because we all are animals obviously, but it feels more primal than when, I don't know, when you're in the thick of it with the people that you're working with. I don't want to spoil it for everybody, because it's a great arc and it's a great series, and I'm just going to stop talking now.
I think as well, like, it was like so lovely to have somebody who was there all the time that I was there. Most of my stuff is with Hazel, and to like be able to soundboard with each other. And because the sisters are so symbiotic, like, it was like nice for us to be able to like conjure things up together and create those things together. And then, you know, you spin a lot of plates when it's like a big arc like that, and so to have somebody like help you spin them was really, really useful. But like Hazel said, like, once we were all together, and like Josh Finan, who's absolutely incredible as Jerry Adams, and the rest of the like amazing revolving door of Irish actors that came through, a lot of it just came really naturally, because you just have to look at them and they're so fantastic and wonderful, and all you're doing is reacting to what they're giving you, which is incredible.
You mentioned the oldies earlier, Maxine. You and I are of a similar generation and grew up in the UK thinking we knew all about the Troubles. But, I mean, this was such an eye-opener for me. I can't imagine what it must be like for people here. And I'm just wondering, Maxine, for you in particular, I mean, I felt so incredibly ignorant. Did you feel the same way? And, of course, you guys were not born for most of this, but the effect lingers. So I just wonder if you can all talk about, you know, those aspects.
I mean, I did know, I mean, I didn't know as much as I should have done, but I had grandparents who were very politically engaged and very progressive politically. So they made sure when the news came on and what was being told on the news, they filled me in on what was really happening. You know, they filled me in on, you know, the history. I mean, I wouldn't say in immense detail, but I felt I got a window into, well, that a lot of people in Britain didn't get an understanding of what really was happening, what the root cause of the Troubles were. So I felt privileged that I'd had that. So, yes, but still every day learning and, you know, and for me, I think the biggest thing learning is listening, you know, especially to Lola when they talk about being a ceasefire baby and the legacy of it. And then you've got this amazing generation who are coming on and just running with it, and that, you know, and taking all that, it feels an answer, you know, on the shoulders in a way, but finding a way, finding a resolve and making, you know, bringing that unity together. It feels, you know, as far as I'm concerned, Ireland, and especially the north of Ireland at the moment, are making, you know, that's where the revolution is. That's where, you know, the big thinkers are, and I think, you know, are going to make a change, and Lola Petticrew is definitely top of that list.
When Lola accepted her Best Actress awards at the IFTA event in February, they talked extremely movingly of the continuing troubles in Belfast, particularly for young people. And you received quite a lot of vitriol online for that, did you not? I mean, I found that staggering. Did you?
Yeah, I was incredibly nervous, but it felt like if I was given a platform because of the show, that I knew what I wanted to talk about. I'm what they call a ceasefire baby. So I was born post-ceasefire. And in a way, we were sort of the babies that were promised a different future and change. But there's been a lot of work going into what they call intergenerational trauma at home, and why more people have died after the ceasefire, people my age, than died during the entire war. The effect of it really still lingers. You've got traumatised parents raising traumatised kids. You've got this code of silence where people couldn't talk about what happened because there was no proper peace and reconciliation process. You've also got the social effects with money. jobs, people in poor living conditions with no money. And so how can you ask these big philosophical questions about a shared future, what peace means, you know, how we move forward when the boot of poverty is on people's necks? So that's my lived experience. And when taking this job, I knew that I wanted to do it because the questions that this show lands you with are the questions that I have as a somewhat young adult who still lives there, who's proud to be from there, who wants to continue living there, and who's really hopeful for the future. So I just felt like it was important for me to use that moment to talk about it and to urge our politicians to be useful for once and start doing something about it instead of throwing about ideas like painting over murals, really surface level things that aren't actually going to help anyone. And I did receive, you know, I received a lot of positive things because of it, but I also received quite a lot of backlash. And I suppose, you know, people are still angry and there's still a lot of trauma that lives in people and lives in their bodies. And I think sometimes like hearing things like that is really hard, but it's why we have to say them. And it's why we have to try to sometimes do the really hard job of setting our emotional selves aside in order to try to build bridges so that we can actually get somewhere. Because while it sounds like right now what I'm talking about is like trauma, I'm actually a really hopeful person and I love where I'm from and I love the people, and I think that we have a chance at an absolutely class future, and I think that we have the opportunity to show the world what it would mean to overcome the trauma that we've all went through. I believe we can do it, but I think we just need our politicians to put their arses in gear and step up and lead the people.
Just briefly, Hazel, you're from Dublin. Would you say that that is still the case in the south of Ireland also?
In what
Well,
way?
that there is this intergenerational trauma, you know, the war is not over.
I can't speak on people who've come from the north to the south. But for people from the south, I don't think there's anywhere near the kind of I would go as far to say there's probably none, except for the people who would have come from the north to escape the war.
Yep.
And that is shameful, I think. It's shameful that we weren't taught exactly what was going on when we were kids. It's shameful that we weren't taught the history. We were, but only when you get to a certain age and only when you take history for the last 5 years of your schooling or whatever. It should be something that's taught in every single school from the age of 12 upwards. From
absolutely,
whenever, yeah. And it should be the cross that we all bear, and not just the people in the north. And I hope that starts to change. I really do, because it's not okay for us to just sweep it under the rug. Yeah, and that was one of the biggest things I think that scared me about taking this job, was that I would kind of be, I don't know, that it wasn't my place and it wasn't right for me to take the role from potentially somebody in the north. And then, you know, Lola kind of reassured me that I was right for it. And yeah, I'm still kind of like, Jesus, am I? But I feel really passionately that every single person in Ireland and in Britain should know what went on.
Hear, hear. And in the rest of the world, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, we're out of time. This was my great privilege. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.